The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor-producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Sarah, Tirri, welcome back.
Jolie, thank you.
Thank you for coming to the Treehouse again. I especially appreciate you coming to my first ever New Moon, New Friends.
Wonderful friends.
And even though you're not a new friend, well, you are a new friend, but even though you're not like one of my newest friends, you always add such a dimension to the gatherings and stuff.
Thank you so much.
It's just
I really enjoy it, and all your friends are really interesting and open. They're just really nice people. It's a nice party gathering. And I was so pleased to meet Sharon. She's my age,
right.
3 children a little younger than mine.
Right.
And she was great. And it's so funny because you get that cultural vibe with another English woman that is just unique to that. And it's such a pleasant place to fall back into. And it's right there. And
there was one other English woman that didn't show up. She last minute canceled, and you're going to love her.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I just appreciate the vibe, you know, because when we moved to Central Florida, we basically had nobody. We knew 0 people. And I've got 4 children, 4 grandchildren. They're all out of the state.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need people.
Yes.
So we have our plant people, we have our band people, and we just wanted some social people.
And the chef, well, I can't remember his name.
Oh, Steve.
Steve, he was delightful.
Oh, Steve's great.
Yeah, he lived in Brixton in London when he was 15, and that would be a bit of a big experience. So he was
so cool.
His cooking was amazing.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, we do have good friends, and we're just going to keep adding to it because I think that, you know, the past few years there's been this disconnect where everyone's separated and everyone's, you know, you can't be within 6 feet of each other and all this garbage.
So that really caused a problem, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I think the people need. First of all, most of us have realized the need to be connected.
Yes, because we felt what it looked like when we weren't, and it's not good.
And it's not okay. I think that we all acknowledge that when we're separated from each other.
But do you think that cell phones are doing that as well? Because I'm in a restaurant the other day, and there's couples sitting there, and they're on their phones. And I think we're learning to engage with a handheld device, and it's a science experiment basically, isn't it? We don't know the ramifications of this, so I think that's lost our ability, desire, and inclination to want to just be doing what you and I are doing now.
This is going to go along the lines of our soul's journey, but before I do that, you always bring beautiful gifts, and and you didn't even notice.
I did notice. I absolutely did notice. It's the first thing.
So I love this.
It's beautiful.
I appreciate the
good colour on you.
Thank you,
With
Robin.
the blue eyes and the green, it's lovely.
Look at you. Thank you. But I love this tank top, and I just love your hand-me-downs. I've never had hand-me-downs.
Well, I'm on the lookout because I like razorbacks as well. And I do have one, and it's black, and I'm going to order you one and see whether you like it. But it's lovely because it comes in at the waist, and it just flares slightly.
Nice.
And it's a really good... It's got this nice...
It's got kind of an athletic...
Yes,
and
nice
you're going to tell me you're always doing something new. Now you have your own clothing line.
Building my own clothing
You're building
line.
your own clothing line.
Yes.
I love that. And if you have a chance to do things for athletic girls, I would appreciate that because it's so difficult to get things for athletic girls.
Yeah.
Just like you're describing.
Good. So that's just a question of fit, isn't it? So get the right fit, get the design.
This
is really well designed. This is
beautiful.
Lovely.
I love this.
Yeah.
So many of us, we all know that we have certain things we want to accentuate and certain things we want to minimize.
So we want short shorts.
So
these are my fake denim shorts. They're just spandex.
You know, mine stretch too. So you always bring such beautiful things, but we wanted to, this bag is yours, so I'm giving you the bag back.
Oh, it's a lovely bag.
But there's some things in here I want to give you.
Oh, nice.
So,
well, thank you so much.
From from Robin. But just as
it's heavy. That's
just gratitude,
lovely.
because you're always so beautiful with your gifts and
that's
stuff.
nice.
And we saw that.
What's
Robin's-
inside it?
It's from Robin. I think it's olive oil.
Is it?
I think so,
Beautiful
yeah.
bottle.
Right.
I love it.
But that's just my
absolutely
gratitude
lovely.
from us, because you're always,
I love
always
the
so kind. And then I put in there, these are actually homemade pickles.
Oh, lovely.
So I don't know if you like pickles.
I do.
If not, give them to Tony.
That's so weird. Yesterday, Tony and I were at Publix, and we were in the pickle section looking at pickles, and we both realised that we loved a pickle. This was literally yesterday afternoon. Well, thank you, darling. That's so nice, and thank Robin. I'm glad I've got the bag back.
Give you another one.
Oh, one for Tony.
So you can put them on the floor if you want.
I will, darling.
But there's in the bottom. There's actually four little sachets of coffee.
Oh.
And I want you to try these coffees, because I just got these samples like last week.
What do you like about them?
Coffee's, first of all, coffee's a big business, right? Mm-hmm. But I've always been looking for coffee that is healthy.
Mm. What's unhealthy about conventional coffee that we have at Starbucks?
Well, it's not so much well, first of all, it has to be organic.
Okay.
So
yeah.
it has to be organic. It has to be, I'm big on ethically grown. Mm-hmm. I want things that are not using, slave labor or unfair trade practices. Yeah. Like, those are important things to me.
Or horrible to animals, cruel to animals.
All those things.
Of those.
It's not okay. So I like those things.
So you want to create the world you want to live in.
Right. Yeah. And our dollars matter. So if you want to have homegrown pickles, buy them from your local people. If you don't want to have the preservatives and all the garbage in them, buy them from your people. Yeah. For coffee, I'm a kind of a coffee snob, so it's not easy for me to, because I really like to have good flavor.
Yes.
And I had a friend of mine said, I had to try this and check it out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm very, very happy with the coffee I've had. But I'm always interested in, it's one thing, and I talk to my people about this, about different foods we have. It's one thing to love something, but that something has to love you back. Mm. I look at everything as a relationship within that context. If you and I are friends and I adore you, but you treat me like garbage, that's not a good relationship. Mm-hmm. Well, the same thing goes with our foods. When I have coffee, I want to enjoy the coffee. I want it to be good for me, but it's got to treat me back.
What don't you want it to do to you?
Well, what I don't want it to
give you diarrhea.
Yeah, that's always a bad thing, right? Well, I think the thing that coffee does,
do you like it for the caffeine or for the flavour or for the ritual? Do you have it first thing in the morning while you meditate?
I think it's a little bit about everything.
Yes, I think so.
I think it's everything, because
I'm not with tea.
I'm not addicted to caffeine, or I have no addictions that I'm aware of, but maybe I do. I don't know. I think that the thing about coffee for me is I do enjoy it in the morning.
And does it rev you? So if you didn't have it or you do have it, is there a difference in your focus or performance? No.
I'm always revved. But the thing is, a lot of coffee is, if you have more than 1 or 2 cups, sometimes they can acidify your tissues.
Oh.
If you have naturally, most coffees, virtually all coffees, if you have more than 1 or 2 cups, it's going to acidify your tissues.
And what does that? What's the implications of having acid in your tissues?
Well, eating acid like a lemon or grapefruit, things like that, doesn't mean it's going to acidify your tissues. Mm-hmm. It's not so much whether you're eating something acidic as it is, what does it do to your body? With coffees, a lot of times they acidify your tissues. Along with other lifestyle things, if you do things throughout your day constantly that acidify your tissues, that's one of the 2 preconditions required for your cells to start to misbehave.
Right.
And when they misbehave, that for a prolonged period, that can become cancerous.
Yeah, right.
So,
that's the end.
So we have to do 2 things. We have to keep our tissues slightly alkaline, which is about a 7.38 pH, which is 7 is neutral, so 7.38 is just slightly alkaline. So we want to have...
And is the everyday person doing that?
No, not even close. Gosh. I mean, I think people are getting smarter now.
Yeah.
They're moving more towards an awareness. And it's not hard to do. If you just eat at least half of your calories from the garden, you're probably going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But every little thing I do, it matters, because I'm going to be 60, next Thursday, 61, I'll be next Thursday. I don't want to, if there's any little thing I can do to be better and stronger into the future, I want to do it. Yeah. So keeping my tissues alkaline is very important to me. So this is a coffee that's grown, and it's grown in a compost that's created an alkaline coffee, plus the processing makes it very robust and very tasty. But what I like about it, and I don't intend to talk about coffee, but it has what's called cordyceps mushrooms in it. Cordyceps.
Oh.
And I've got a checklist of things that cordyceps do for you, but they can help regulate your blood sugar, help your blood hold on to oxygen just a little bit better.
Interesting.
So there's certain things that cordyceps mushrooms can do for you. And the idea, so going into it, I was like, oh boy, I don't want...
And can you taste the mushroomy, earthy taste?
No, and that's the reason I was
I love the taste of mushrooms.
I was very reluctant because I've had so many people tell me, it's like, you should try this coffee. It's all herbal. It's all this. It's all this. And I haven't had it. I haven't had any that I bought. I was just like, that's terrible. I'm not going to, even though it's good for me, I'm not enjoying it.
I want to taste one now. I want to see what it is.
Well, maybe during the break, I'll fix you up one.
Let's see what it is.
But it's got to be a good experience because otherwise, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
But I also want it to treat me well, too. Mm-hmm. Like, I want it to be enjoyable, but also
care of your temple.
Too good for me. So, But anyway, I didn't want to talk about that. I just wanted to share with you that there's some, I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
I'm actually quite impressed. I was very skeptical, and I thought, you know what? I was almost like, don't even give it to me.
I'm going to try it on Tony because he's a coffee connoisseur.
Yeah, so I would do, there's two types in there. One of them is a latte, and one of them is bold. I've never had black coffee. I've never enjoyed black coffee in my life. This is the first black coffee I've been able to just have with nothing in it. No sweet, no sugar, no nut. It's actually good as it is. And
I'm looking forward to...
It's just very, very, very crazy. But you have things, this is your show, what's on your agenda for today?
On my agenda for today is karma. And the reason this has come up, this is one of the things that I write about, is because I opened one of my books this morning at random. And this is one, it's called We Who Are Becoming Gods. And it went to a section on karma. And then I opened up the mirror world and it went there too. And I kind of like the synergy of that. Okay. That's interesting.
So for those people who, the normal average listeners, they've heard of karma. They kind of think back to the Boy George karma chameleon, thing, but they don't really understand what karma is. In a nutshell, can you explain it?
Well, karma exists because we've lived prior to this lifetime. Okay. And we haven't behaved that well in a lot of them. So if you...
Speak for yourself.
It's unlikely that we have, right? Okay. Because if you look at the brutal, bloody history of mankind, we've all been participating in that. So assuming that negative karma plays out. And it can play out in your lifetime or it can go into the next lifetime. One of the things that I say in the mirror world is that we don't have to worry about karma. There's nothing we can do to avoid it, but it's in the script, it's in the program. And we've got to, if we upgrade our worldview to the bigger picture, then the suffering that's going on could be karmic to some degree. But we also have to raise the vibration of the entire planet. So we have to help people who are suffering difficult karma. Because when I went to India, I felt that for them, it was just like, well, that's your fucking karma, deal with it. And it was quite abhorrent to me. That was like the general consensus. This is your karma. Because there was no help going to these people.
So you're talking about this is the way you felt it, or this what you were experiencing?
It's what I was experiencing because there was so much poverty, and this was in Bombay, and that was called Bombay at the time, and no one was helping anyone else.
So to be clear, just to get it square in my mind, you would be there, and everyone was so concerned about their own karma, and when they looked at others,
their own survival. But a lot, yes. Most people were just surviving there, just absolutely. It's a grisly place of poverty and lack. And then you had the aristocracy, and they had the lovely places and servants. But there was no middle class there, I felt. It was just like ghettos all over the site, just everywhere. And I felt for an enlightened worldview, that we have lived before and we will live again. How is this not working for you as a country? Why isn't this working? And karma is only a workable worldview, but it doesn't mean fuck them, it's their karma. You have to help that. You have to do something about that. And we talked about that in one of the previous shows. That's going to take money, and we can get into that. So do you believe that you've had karma in this lifetime? Have you seen karma play out?
So this is going to be something that you and I speak about probably on a regular basis because my worldview does not involve time. The whole idea of karma means that I've been someplace I'm going to go someplace and then go someplace and go. It's
an eternal journey.
Right. In my world, time doesn't exist. So that means that I'm experiencing everything all at once. And I understand in this current way that this is playing out, we have to comply with this time domain.
As a human being, But you're saying you actually experience it from the perspective that we do when we're not on this planet. You'll see there's no such thing as time prior to us being born, where we came from or where we go back to.
Right,
but we understand it linearly here because there is yesterday, there is today and tomorrow. Are you saying mentally you've got something going on that...
Well, what I'm saying is that you nailed it just now. Like mentally... all mental processes with this brain that we have in our cranium, this little bowling ball we have on
computer.
This bowling ball we have on top of our spine.
Is this a computer?
What?
We're half organic and we're half computer.
So are you silicon based?
Yes, well, not silicon based, but
silicon.
Silica. Is that what the brain is?
Silicon and silica are different.
Yeah, they are different.
But
yeah, is silica what the brain? What's the brain made out of? What's this big rubbery thing? What's the substance of it?
Most of it's going to be like they're lipids, they're fats.
It's fats. Okay.
They're fatty lipids. So when you have essential fatty acids, your body takes those and converts them to they're building blocks for your brain. So
anyway, gosh.
So,
back to karma.
I want to get to me the structure of the brain doesn't matter. The function is more important.
But back to not experience linear time.
So no, but here as we the people in this earth space, we're confined to this linear time. And when we leave here, we're not. So we're subjected to this time constraint. Yes. Because it's to slow things down.
Exactly.
So we can actually, there's this temporal, I call it a temporal dilation.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good term.
And aviators use that term.
And the reason we have it, because we're manifesting reality and it can't be done that quickly because otherwise chaos would exist. So time it's like I call it a restriction buffer in my life. It stops reality manifesting because could you imagine if every thought you had manifested? So for me, time is to slow the manifestation rate down until we can regulate what we're thinking about.
So let's dig into that a little bit because on my other show, Studio 17, I'm going to be interviewing one of my former pilot friends back when I was with JetBlue. I was a captain. He's a captain. Both of us are former military. And we were at the hotel down in Lauderdale or something. And he shared with me the story about how he ejected from his F-16 over the Gulf of Mexico. And he had the experience. He was able to detail for me every frame, every split second of that entire experience from the time he lost his situational awareness. Because we as pilots have these certain parameters we look at. There's a safety floor, there's an operational floor, and there's a safety floor. And meaning how high above the ocean or the ground are you before you must take a life-saving action, right? And to keep it simple. Mm-hmm. He was so situationally unaware that he had about another quarter second. If he delayed his decision to eject out of the aircraft even a quarter second, he would have been a smoking hole in the drink, right? So
what a way to go.
But I bring it up because we have this thing called temporal dilation, where while we're having that experience, it seems like we have more time than we do. So in other words...
So time's, yes.
So while we're
So that's what they say by time slowing down. I've heard this said before.
Yeah, so while we're in it...
In a critical situation, you have more time than you actually do. And that's when you can make a call, you can make a decision.
Right, and that's why we pre-brief. Like even when I was an instructor pilot in the T-38, I would explain, before we even got in the airplane, I would have the student explain to me, what are the situations where we're going to eject immediately? Because
someone farts.
Actually, it's funny. My friend's name is Stinky Pete.
I knew that was the reason.
Did I tell you that?
You didn't tell me the reason, but I worked it out.
Oh my God. So anyway, well, I'm going to have Stinky Pete on my other show. He doesn't know it yet, but he's also an author. He wrote a book.
Oh, nice.
I'll try to get a copy for you.
That would be nice. But why is this relevant to the temporal dilation? Is time slowing down so we can make a critical decision?
Correct. So to bring this to our current conversation, while you're in the moment, he thought he had a bunch more time than he did. But in retrospect, when he looks back at it, seconds, like literally a few seconds, he can recount every detail in detail, even like a photographic image of the vertical velocity, the attitude indicator, the airspeed. So he can tell the story of all of the parameters
in that tiny
in
amount
detail.
Of time. Yeah.
And then when they pulled the flight recorder, military, it's not necessarily called a black box, but it's basically the flight recorder. His recollection was very, very close to the actual what the airplane was experiencing. So the amount
So is that the capacity of him being able to regurgitate what his subconscious mind holds permanently? Because we have all record of every minute experience, but it's in our subconscious. Somehow he's bringing that to the surface and he's describing it like it's a story. He's describing it exactly in detail.
But in a very accurate detail. So
do you think we have a capacity to remember something when shit hits the fan, or can we can do that with the mundane? I could be watering a plant, for example. If you're awake, you can remember facets of that in greater detail.
So I'm going to answer that in a moment because it's a fascinating concept. I bring up the point, just to put a bow on this point, the idea of time changes depending on your scenario. Right now, the time we're experiencing as we the people in this earth space, it is what it is. We're not going to change it. But when we leave this density or this space, there's nothing that confines us the way we're currently confined.
Now. Yes, exactly.
So that's why I'm saying, like, whatever we're experiencing now.
But I'd introduce the concept of karma. So when we're looking at the world, and it looks pretty fucked up, doesn't it? I mean, I talk to from not in our little bubble, but out there. I mean, what's going on in Haiti, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Ukraine, and they're just the hot pockets that we know about. It's it is a bit of a shit show. What if this is just a mass dissolution of karma based on the fact in previous life we've all not behaved that well at some point, and then when all this is dissolved, and then we wake up to how powerful our minds are, this would be a kind of new evolutionary homo superior kind of activation of our consciousness, because we're assuming that the world is fucked up and there's things going wrong. What if this is perfect precision? What if there's nothing wrong in the world at all? All this is playing out because it's a necessary balancing of the scales, because we are on this journey in probably, I don't know, thousands of lifetimes I think I've had. So I think having that, structuring your worldview around the fact that God is in control of everything he created, the universe, the powers that be, the source is in control, and there's nothing about anything that's off kilter at all. The world isn't getting worse, it's actually getting better.
So the premise of what you just put to me was that the world is, effed up and stuff. And
that could be the perception. I'm not saying it is.
Right. My worldview is actually opposite.
You think it's really fucked up?
No, I think it's absolutely perfect.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
I mean, it gives the appearance of not being with certain belief systems.
I misunderstood what you said.
Okay, I don't believe it is. I think it's working with perfect precision, absolute perfection.
And and when you comprehend what's really happening out there behind the scenes, and I don't want to get into the geopolitics.
No.
I don't want to go there.
Boring. Oh, God.
Oh, no, it's exciting.
Yeah, but no, it's not for me.
Okay, so we're not going to go there, but I'm here to share with you what you see with the talking head on the little TV screen and on the radio waves is not reality. That's not... You're seeing things that are not 100% true.
So this is interesting. So
because
could you be saying that what's going on in Ukraine is not real? That if I flew there today, everything would be fine. So when they're reporting on what's going on in Ukraine, this is a hallucination I'm watching. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not a hallucination. It's intentional deceit from a small group of people.
So if I were to fly to Ukraine And would I be able to prove that there is no conflict going on, that there's been no bombings?
Well, no. Have you ever heard of a false flag? Okay, so this is a different topic for another day, but if I wanted to get a whole group of people to behave a certain way, in order to control those people, I would have to do something egregious to make them behave a certain way. Maybe have them, convince them to fight each other. I would, like, if I wanted you to fight with your sister, I would, like, do you have a sister? All right,
no,
you
my
don't.
sister-in-laws.
Sister-in-laws. So if I wanted you to fight with your neighbor, I might go to you and say, Sarah, did you?
Yeah.
I had
a friend do that in a triangle situation once.
And I would get you angry with your neighbor, and I would get your neighbor angry with you, and play you off against each other, and you would hate each other.
That's actually happened to me.
And then one of you would have enough.
And then the third one is doing it to realise that she's been doing it to us both, and that happened to me. And then we had to call this other girl out because it's like, what were you doing? Coming to me and then just creating this tension. But she didn't realise that she was doing it.
But instead of people, like individuals, what if those were countries?
Yeah.
What if those were countries?
But getting back to the reality is what's going on the news being devised just to keep us all at odds with each other?
This is very much so. That's my belief, and I have a lot of data sources to believe that way. The funding, the tax dollars, all of this stuff is not going to what we want it to help our people, help our bridges, all this stuff. I don't want to go down the geopolitics road. I'm just saying that there are people being injured in places like Ukraine. There are people who have been injured since the Haiti earthquake. Yeah. But the people who are doing the damage, the people who are actually injuring those people, are not the people you think.
And so let's not go into the geopolitics, let's go into the metaphysics. These people are causing chaos deliberately in order to feather their own nest, control and make money. Would they be the two? Is that the agenda?
Control and money.
Yeah.
So let's bring it to the United States. If you were to mobilize, how would you mobilize an entire group of people to surrender their rights?
Make them feel unsafe, and they'd give up their freedom in order to feel secure.
Right. So what better way than to have a false flag with the World Trade Center, 9/11?
So was that Osama bin Laden? Was that?
That's a story. If you believe the guy on the talking head on the news.
David Icke wrote a book, Alice in Wonderland, and the 9/11 disaster or something. So that was motivated by a group or a sect of people who just do that to create chaos. We're all turning in each other. Nobody can go through airports without walking around without anybody's shoes on anymore. It creates all sorts. So is COVID another one of those things that's injected in to cause chaos? All the wars are just a load of power-hungry monsters creating this reality that we're all somehow involved in whatever.
I mean, that's my belief system.
Yeah, that's a hell of a fucking belief system.
Well, and I can back it up with data points.
Yeah, very scary.
For people listening, this might sound like crazy talk and things, but there's really two categories of people who understand that 9/11 was a complete hoax designed to have us surrender our rights.
So when you say a hoax, it was actually real. Planes did hit it. That was a real event. But you're saying the intention behind it was to have us surrender our rights.
Right. Yeah. We know that something hit those.
Yes. We don't know that it's those planes. I saw the footage of that.
Right.
And so do you think that was just that was mechanics in the TV? That was a computer simulation that no one saw these planes?
We'll talk about that another time because that's a whole deeper subject.
Yeah.
But something hit that. Same thing with the Pentagon. Something hit the Pentagon. But when you look at the hole in the Pentagon relative to a 757, it's not even close.
Is it small or big?
The hole is tiny compared to there was no seats, there was no engines, there was no fuselage, there was no black box, there was no airplane remnants, zero at the Pentagon. There was nothing there, nothing except for a hole that was blown in the ground that looks more the size of a Tomahawk missile. So,
gosh, that's so fascinating.
What I'm asking people to do is don't believe me, don't believe you, but in terms of the geopolitics, to understand that we need to ask better questions, whether it's COVID, whenever somebody wants to take something away from you, whether it's your rights, your tax dollars, whatever, if it's motivated by fear, then you need to back away from it and ask the question, why am I afraid? Is there something legitimate here? Is there something, or am I afraid because I've had fraud perpetrated upon me? And if I'm going to surrender something, why am I
What
surrendering
do you believe
it to?
that we're going to be required to surrender? Are we all going to be under surveillance, going to have checkpoints when we leave?
It's already
to go
happening.
To Orlando?
I mean, the EU is already doing it. There's a group of us that are never going to let that.
Fuck that
As long
shit.
as there's a group of
I'll
us.
come and live here, darling. I don't want that type. No, and we're all going to think, oh, this is going to keep us safe.
No, there's a group of us. As long as there's one of us, constitutional Americans, alive, the Sam Adams variety, we will never, ever surrender. So as long as there's one of us alive, we will
What does surrendering
never.
look like in its worst form to you? What does your everyday reality look like if we're fully surrendering to the government? What does that look like? Would you be able to? You'd be able to drive to Publix and buy your groceries.
I've been to your house.
Yeah.
I've been to your house. You say something on this podcast about anything
Yeah.
that somebody listening doesn't agree with. And they're in a position of power with the state.
Yes.
And we have a centralized digital currency that is controlled by a central government, a central authority. They don't like what you say. You've got whatever amount in the bank account that you've got.
$1,000 now comes down to $995 because they fined me.
1,000 goes to zero.
Because they have fined me for saying something that, wow, this is just like an Orwellian fucking...
Oh, this is 1984 times...
God.
This is 1984 times 1,000. And I'm not here to scare people because we are actually winning. And when you look at what's happening in Ukraine and what's being revealed, this whole Haiti thing has been going on for years.
Yeah.
The question is, what is being revealed? And if you look at today, the revelations today in the news and what's coming out, pay attention not to what the talking heads are saying, but what's going on behind the scenes. Because whenever there's noise here, this is martial arts number 101. You have a distraction here because you don't want them looking here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's simple as that.
It's a diversion tactic.
The Orwellian part is exactly that. Sarah Tirri says something that doesn't jive with the powers. And the treacherous thing is...
And the powers will be punitive and they will remove your livelihood. So what is their agenda about having us all become automatons? Why would they want that? I can never understand what someone's angle is to want that amount of control. Isn't that boring after a while? So we all go around like sheep. We all do our jobs. What is it that they're getting from that?
If you control if you look at the world, who controls the assets, who controls the money, who controls trillions of dollars, it's pretty much like the Rockefellers. It's like there's like 3,000 people. Yeah. And they come from the same lineage, same bloodline. I heard the statistic that
it was 90% of the world's worth is owned by 10 people, and I thought, fuck, that is terrible.
That's pretty. I don't know the numbers.
It sounds pretty plausible, doesn't it?
But there are some executive orders that were put in place a few years ago. An executive order by our previous, not the current president, but the previous one. Executive Order 13848 and Executive Order 13818, which have been extended with the current president, which makes no sense at all. But the extension of those two orders... And
those two orders proclaim what?
Well, one of them has to do with interfering with the U.S. elections.
Right.
And the other one has to do with trafficking human beings for their parts, for their blood, for their existence, for their actual body, sex trafficking, whatever.
Awful. Yeah.
Oh, it's totally awful. Yeah. But these executive orders make it so that it's those perpetrators that interfere are going to be treated as military combatants. So they're not going to be tried in a civil court. They're not going to be tried. They're not going to have an attorney. If they've been trafficking humans for their parts,
they're now the enemy.
They are enemy of humanity.
Of humanity. Yes.
And there's you can look this up.
So there's going to be. Do you think there's going to be a civil war of some kind because we're not going to put up with this shit?
Well, see, a civil war would be technically where two factions of a country battle each other.
But we're doing it with the powers that be in the government and the people.
So this is different.
It's different than a civil war. So what would you call this then?
They want us to have a civil war. They want black versus white.
Okay, so yes.
They want gay versus straight. They want Muslim versus Christian.
Yes.
That's what they
Division.
want.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do it.
Right.
We the people, we the patriots are not going to let it happen.
Fall into that bullshit trap.
For years.
So we've been
about peace.
It's so funny because the song that I just listened to, "Give Peace a Chance" by John Lennon, when I was driving in your gate. So that's funny.
See, true patriots are all about peace. We're all about peace.
So this is great. I think stepping into geopolitics, this is really, really interesting conversation. It's the reality is it's almost absurd. We just don't know what's real, what's not real. And I just advocate for my life at the moment, living in my bubble, doing my creative projects, having conversations like this and writing books, because we don't know what reality is. Well, we just like, oh my goodness.
And you nailed it. You asked the question, what do they have to gain? Well, if they own the whole world and they have everything, the only thing left to gain is your consciousness.
And why do they want it?
Because you're a creator.
So they want my energy.
They want your energy. They don't want you to be a creator. They're actually going to try to control your thoughts, your actions. All of these things, they have tattoos now that can change your body chemistry.
Who agrees to have them?
I've got some videos of people thrilled to have them.
Gosh.
Who knows if we can cover this another time.
Yes.
But I'm just saying right now to wrap up, the idea is that we have this beautiful spirit, this beautiful soul, and we're co-creators. This is not permissible. You being a sovereign, free spirit, a beautiful divine creator, co-creator, is not permissible. And there's certain people, many of whom have already been removed.
So they don't want us to align with our own divinity because that doesn't give them anything to feed on.
If you have a divine creator, but if they're the rulers of the world...
They're the anti-force.
They're the anti-force.
Yeah.
So they want you to worship them.
Yeah, gosh.
And it's just a small group of people. Thankfully, a lot of them are being removed.
But in my novel, The Starside Prophecy, I talk about the anti-force being something God intended. So we should pick up on that on the next podcast.
Because it's been a good visit.
A lovely conversation.
I never have any idea where you're going to take me.
No, but nor do I.
But this is good.
Go with it.
So let's just pick it up next episode.
Lovely.
We'll pick it up
This
there.
has been wonderful.
Thank you for coming out. I appreciate you.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Pure will make your world better.
Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skincare, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in a physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Tirri and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Tirri, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.